third stretch reflex that is important to mention is called the muscle spindle. And it is found really in the belly of the muscle. And it notices when a muscle is very abruptly stretched or when there's too much force applied. And it basically puts on the brakes and it prevents any further stretching of the muscle and therefore prevents injury. I like to think of it as a seatbelt in a car. So if you have your seatbelt on and you tug your seatbelt, it will not move a millimeter. But if you gently pull the seatbelt will lengthen. And it's a very similar thing with movement. If you apply forceful, quick movements, your body does not like that. Your nervous system does not feel safe. But when you move slowly with intent and with breath, your nervous system is more likely to grant you permission to move in that way. It's going to allow you to stretch your muscles a little bit more effectively. So let's apply that quickly to one more movement, and we're going to look at cobbler's pose, Baddha Konasana. So I'm going to reach my limit here, and I'm going to imagine that for most people we feel tension here in the inner thigh. So in order to potentially allow the knees to go a little bit further to the ground, for reciprocal inhibition, I'm going to contract the opposite set of muscles. So I'm going to engage my gluteus maximus, my outer thighs. I'm going to do this by lengthening upwards. I'm going to press the edges of my feet down into the mat, and I'm also going to imagine that my knees are moving in opposite directions. And very subtly, I don't have a huge range of movement in this direction, but very subtly my knees move a little bit closer towards the floor. And then to trigger the Golgi tendon organ, I'm going to have to gently contract the muscle that I actually wanted to stretch, which is the inner thigh. So I'm going to do that by pressing the balls of the big toes together, pressing the inner thigh gently up into my elbows, taking a nice full deep breath. And then as I exhale, I might notice that the knees subtly go a little bit further to the floor. And you can actually do this 2 or 3 times before the body kind of catches on and realizes that you're trying to almost trick it. So gently contract, push the balls of the big toes together, squeeze the inner thighs up into the elbows, and then exhale, the knees may subtly go a little bit further to the floor. And then to prevent the muscle spindle from firing, I'm going to avoid pulsing or pushing, because this is actually going to almost lock the muscle and prevent any further movement.